Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, episode 259 of this wonderful, wild thing that we have been doing since 2017, if you can believe it. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you, and that is not Aaron this week. It is Kyle Army with me here this week.
Hey, everybody. How we doing?
Yeah, Aaron is busy. He's living the retail life this week. The company that he has that he works for, he's doing inventory this week. So that is, for those of you that have never worked in retail, inventory week is a very draining and time-consuming week.
It's hell, folks. It's hell.
Aaron knew he wasn't going to be able to pop in, so we're taking a pause on the Clash of Champions reviews for this week. Next week we'll be back with Clash of the Champions 16 coming up. We'll be reviewing that one. We're into the early 90s WCW, you know, Kyle, like the Big Joshes and the PN News and all that fun stuff.
You know, it's funny how the wrestling business is just a rotating circle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, without getting too into everything before we get too ahead of things, it's ridiculous to me that it's like you have a fucking iguana that is now getting over, and it's like, I remember the 90s. I remember TL Hopper. I remember the Goon. I remember like, careful what you wish for, guys.
Right.
I get it. I do. Wrestling's supposed to be fun, but
there's a fine line. There's a fine line, you know. And, you know, you go back to something like the original Doink. The Matt Bourne Doink. I remember, you know, when I was a kid, the old timers that didn't like the wrestling that I was watching, like my step grandpa and stuff would always joke about, oh, before you know it, there's going to be a wrestling clown. And then sure as shit, there comes the wrestling clown. But the way they originally did Doink, like you said, be careful what you wish for. The way they originally did Doink with Matt Bourne and the Psycho character was actually really compelling and really cool. And then after he left, and they just went into like the he was a clown, no Psycho attached to it with Dink and all. So you know, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. Yeah.
It's a very fine line, and that's the thing with pro wrestling. We are now getting to a point where there's some good things and bad things with pro wrestling today, especially with WWE. I've never, in my opinion, seen a company more intent. Basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is that they are trying to treat pro wrestling with a sense of realism that we've not seen in the WWE. It's not sports and entertainment anymore. It's pro wrestling. Unfortunately, I think that we're on the edge of the bubble, and it's about to burst because, again, nothing against TKO wanting to make money on advertising tables and ladders, but it's just they're almost pushing it too far. Why have Saturday night's main event? Why have it was nothing but a 2-hour commercial.
Yeah.
And I get it, you gotta sell for advertisers, but like you don't see how that pisses people off. Nothing substantial is going to happen at Saturday night's main event. I'm sorry, it's just not
right. Yeah, and I kind of say to that point, I kind of see, even though I'm sure he got a good payday, but as far as his legacy goes, I kind of see what Goldberg was saying about how they started talking about this retirement match thing like 8 months ago, and when he signed, he was kind of under the impression it was going to take place at a PLE or something, and then it wound up being on Saturday night's main event, and they cut off his speech and et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, and Bill's always kind of he's always kind of bitter, but I can see why he's a little bitter about that. Again, we're also talking about very, very rich people being bitter about getting paid for 15 minutes of work.
And again, okay. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm going to go off on a tangent here for just a minute. I'm sorry. Now, since we brought Goldberg up, look, I like Goldberg. Bill Goldberg seems like a great person, good human being. He definitely did a lot for the business, but he's not a Terry Funk. He's not a Dusty Rhodes. He's not even a Sting. He's not. Again, I have nothing against guys like Goldberg or Hulk Hogan, but to me, a pro wrestler is that you help also build the next generation, and Goldberg didn't really do that.
Right.
I mean, he was kind of here and done. Like, they put him in the Hall of Fame. Again, you saw that match. Did that Goldberg tore his fucking leg? I mean, they didn't bring it up, but I mean, he's again, you have a guy who went maybe 2 minutes on his best day.
Right.
Again, I don't. Why did you have to have him wrestle again? You couldn't have just been like, hey, well, you know, what signed? I don't know. I get why that they signed it, but again, the other thing is Goldberg needs to understand Seth got hurt. Like, shit, unless that comes out to be a work, which
Right.
we'll find out later down the road. But then but if it was a legitimate injury and it's like, shit, we have to cut for time, we have to figure stuff out. I mean, again, it's kind of the problem with being on a Peacock or Netflix, or you're at their whim of when they want to cut you off.
When they want to cut you off. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know if it was done out of ill intent. I see them being like, well, what the fuck, man? Like, we tried to do something nice for you.
Right.
Like, I mean, imagine you're Triple H or even Nick Khan, and Goldberg comes to you and is like, hey, I want to do a retirement thing like Sting and all of them. And it's like, fuck. Well, damn, Bill, I wish you would have told us this 6 months ago, because we have everything booked out here. We're in the middle of John Cena's retirement. Like, we're trying to do that. Can you
work with us here? We're going to pay you quite a bit of money. So,
again, I don't mean to disparage Goldberg's name, but it's not. Damn it, he's not the Undertaker. He's not even a Chris Jericho. He's not even a Triple H or a Shawn. Like, he wasn't that.
He was kind of a flash in the pan.
I'm going to say this as well. Nothing against Austin, because Austin sold a lot of merch. But Austin's contribution to pro wrestling in the long scheme of things is kind of like what Goldberg's was. It wasn't a lot. Yes, he came and he was a fire, and he sold. It was at the highest level that it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I often wonder, and that kind of leads me to one of my first questions. Do you think, honestly and truly?
Yeah, here's what we're doing, folks. We're doing. Yeah. What do you want to talk about? Kind of like Cody Rhodes here. What do you want to talk about? Kyle and I just each came up with a few questions to ask each other. Have a conversation for about an hour here just to get a podcast out. So go right ahead.
Do you think it was Austin that made the WWF in the 98, 99, or do you think it was Vince McMahon? I guess what I'm saying is, could you have put Undertaker in Austin's role, The Rock in Austin's role of fighting the corporate boss? Was it Vince was the draw because people wanted to see Vince get his ass kicked, and it could have been anybody?
I don't think so. And here's what I apply to that. I almost say the same thing about WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania. Or that first when WWF, when the expansion started and they were heating up with Hulk Hogan, the question has been asked before: could Vince have done that with Dusty? Could Vince have done? I don't think so. I think that what opened the door was two men. It was Hogan and Piper, and if you didn't have Hogan or you didn't have Piper to get the ball rolling and then booking everything else around that, I don't know that it happens. And I don't know that anybody would have had the charisma or the heat, the ability to heat up the way Austin did to go against Vince to make. I'm not saying it wouldn't have been maybe a successful angle, but I don't think you get the success that you get to where Vince gets to get his company back hot again with anybody else, because Austin was already heating up before. You watch you watch the, all of 97, which is my favorite year in the history of that company, with him and Brett, and then people getting behind him, because, and then I always say this, it's macabre to say it, but one of the best things that ever happened to Austin was that he got his neck hurt.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
him coming out on Raw and Vince giving him the old, we're trying, we care about you, Steve. We just care about it. Everybody cares. And him going, fuck you and you care about me. I'm going to fight, neck or not, and blah, blah. I mean, there was just so many intangible things that happened in that. I don't know that without him in that, I don't think you get, I'm not saying you don't get some success out of a boss versus wrestler angle, but it's like Hogan and Piper, Vince and Austin. I don't know that it would have worked as well with anybody else.
I guess, well, I think though that if you had put Dusty in with Piper in place of Hogan, you could have drawn the same. The point that I'm saying is that, like, even with the Rock and Wrestling connection, it wasn't until Cyndi Lauper came out and said, "Roddy Piper, you're going to get yours,"
Right.
that the mainstream took notice, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is cool."
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the thing, was Piper knew what it took to be the shit heel to get people over. I think Vince also was kind of the same way. And that's been my kind of question. Not that I'm not saying that Austin was getting, but people forget, like, prior to Austin having his neck broke and all of this happening, like, he was trying to be like a serial killer type character. Like, it was very cold and methodical.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until, like you said, he got his neck broken that he had to change his style.
Right. And I go back to that, it just made me think about it.
But I guess the one thing that I've been thinking about, Nate, was because after the whole Vince McMahon, because anybody will tell you WrestleMania 17, when Vince and Austin shake hands in the middle of the ring, they're like, that's the end of the Attitude Era. That's it right there.
Right.
And after that point, Austin never really gets back to that level.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he becomes a entertaining guy and he's fun to have, and people love to see Austin because, but they love seeing Austin because he's coming out and he's entertaining. He's not, he I don't know. It's weird. He built enough to get over to the point where he could just come out and he didn't have to lay hands on anybody, but people were still happy to see him.
Right.
And again, and that's the weird thing about pro wrestling, is it's not so much what's in the ring, it's the personalities. And that's begs the question of, like I said, what,
especially in the modern era, it's they're and the WWF kind of conditioned, and that's the other thing too. We've talked about it before, coming out of the Attitude Era, and you get into a whole new generation of fans. There's literally, I mean, what do you think? I would assume, let's say 45% of people that are watching wrestling now didn't even live through the Attitude Era. So, they weren't even alive yet. So us old timers remember what it was like even before the Attitude Era. And that's why I try not to, because I full disclosure, I don't watch AEW. I say it all the time on the show. It's not for me. I don't like it. But if there's people that do, it's one of those things where I'm like, I can't begrudge a kid like my son's age who did not live through the 80s. He did not live through the 90s. He didn't live through any of that. What he knows is what has been around for the past 20 something years. That's what he knows wrestling is. That's just like me. When I was watching Hulk Hogan marking out for him in 1988, would I have wanted to watch Lou Thez?
no.
I wasn't alive. Dory Funk Jr., I wasn't alive. You know what I mean? You have people. I think that us older wrestling fans a lot of times get stuck in this. What you're watching it. It's like that old expression. They don't make new music for old people. It just,
but think about it though.
Time marches on.
It marches on, but also think about it. How many podcasts do we have where it was all they do is they talk about, God damn, you remember when it used to be, how it used to be, and we talk about kayfabe, but like those podcasts and everything, it's not so much the behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
that it kills the business. It's the modern stuff right now where I'm sorry, but I don't want to see, or I guess on a modern podcast, if you want to talk about kayfabe, you should be on there not being like, oh, MJF delivered such an amazing heel scripted promo. No, it should be like, fuck MJF.
Yeah.
It should be Roman Reigns. Bro, did you watch this past Monday when he returned? Did you hear that audience?
Yeah.
Right there, it goes to show you that if you allow people to have a mistake about them again, people will buy into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right or wrong, everybody has been singing the praises of Roman Reigns for the last 15 years. And now it's gotten to the point where people are like, you know what, he is actually that.
Yeah. Well, the same thing happened with Cena.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing happened with Cena. It was the whole, it started out as Vince is forcing this guy down our throats. We don't like it. And then as you watch that person longer, and then they just become a part of what you watch every single week. And then you do, I hate to say it, folks, but you start to see what the genius of Vince McMahon sees in this person. And you're like, well, Vince was right the whole fucking time. You know, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. It's a star's a star, you know?
But, and that's the thing. And I like, don't get me wrong. I'm glad to see CM Punk back, but damn, man, like, that's the thing, is that the audience has almost outgrown him.
Mm-hmm.
You have people like you and I who are like, oh, CM Punk's our guy, and they'll chant CM Punk, and you know, but again, we are seeing.
Well, it's kind of like, for instance, as you watch wrestling evolve, and you watch the audience evolve, and you watch the audience evolve into, as time marches on, and the audience gets, we get older than the target audience. How often now, it does happen sometimes when you get into one of those type of cities, but it's so much less now as time goes on. If you notice, when someone goes through a table, that you hear an ECW chant. It used to be somebody went through a table and it was EC dub, EC dub, EC dub. You don't really hear it anymore because time is marching on, and the newer fans didn't watch ECW. They know ECW is something that we old timers talk about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, to them, they're like, why in the hell would I want to go to the ECW arena? It sounds
yeah, why would anybody want to go to the? I think you walk in and get herpes.
Jesus Christ, like it's ridiculous. Like, but that's my point, is you have guys like Gunther. You guys have guys like Logan Paul, which that was the other thing that pissed me off with the whole Goldberg retirement. There is no reason that match needed to go 14 minutes with Gunther. There's no reason that Pat McAfee needed to have anything more than a fucking 2-minute squash with Gunther.
Right.
Why is this guy, like, that should be your top, like, that should be the next Goldberg, is Gunther.
Yeah.
That should be him.
You said something about Mystique a minute ago. So that, I'm going to use this question. It was actually my third question, but since you said Mystique, I'll just make it my first question.
Perfect.
And I want you to think in the time frame from, let's only go back 20 years. So let's just go back to 2005, because I don't want to go back to the territories with like Dusty Rhodes and shit with this question, because then it's you blow up the entire premise of my question. So my question is 2025 to now, the past 20 years, who do you think, I have a couple written down, but who are the guys that you think, even if they worked for WWE at one point, because WWE, one thing that they do the one thing that I've said about Triple H that in his booking that is missing from what Vince's booking was, one thing Vince McMahon was really good at was creating mystique and moments. And and I'm not saying there isn't any of that now, but Vince, I think, was better than Triple H at doing that. I noticed that there aren't a lot of guys don't have a mystique. And there aren't as many like, your WrestleMania moment kind of things. But my question is, speaking of mystique, some guys of the past 20 years, whether they've worked for WWE or not, but who are a couple of guys that you think have created a mystique outside WWE. Like, even if they've wrestled there, their mystique was better not there. If what I'm saying makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, well, honestly, one of the first ones to come to mind is The Rock, John Cena, Brock Lesnar.
Oh no! I mean, not in the mystique that
Oh,
they have. When you're watching them in a different promotion, and you think they have a better mystique than in WWE.
oh, but they were previously in WWE, or it
Doesn't
doesn't
have to
matter.
be. Doesn't
Oh,
have to
okay,
be.
I get what you're saying.
I'll just tell you my first one as an
Yeah, go
example.
ahead, please, please. Yeah.
As an example of what I'm getting at. Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's mystique, like whether it was because I give it all to him, whether it's TNA or Ring of Honor. So it's mostly him creating his own mystique. But like when he was the undefeated X Division champion and all the stuff leading up to Kurt Angle and his series of matches with CM Punk, Samoa Joe is a guy I think that even though he worked for the WWE, he created a mystique of his own outside of. Now, does that make my question make sense
Yeah.
now? Like,
Yep. Absolutely.
because I'd rather watch Samoa Joe in TNA than WWE any day.
Oh
You
God, yeah,
know,
absolutely. I'm always been a big fan of Abyss.
Mm.
I understand that he was TNA's version of Mick Foley. He was that character that was. It could have been done very silly, and especially when he did the what Christopher Parks,
hmm
his brother. Again, it could have been very silly. But he again, Abyss had that mystique about him where, like, that was the TNA guy where you knew you were going to see something special with him.
Right.
And I think the problem is, and the reason why we don't have mystique like that anymore, because again, AJ Styles before he came to WWE, I look at Drew McIntyre.
hmm
It's another guy. Again, he had to leave to come back. I'm not a, mhm. I'm not a big Japanese wrestling
Same.
guy, but I would have to bring up any of those guys that was able to make a promotion. I look at, unfortunately, there's a lot of unsung heroes. You look at Christopher Daniels.
hmm
You look at Amazing Red. You look at a lot of the TNA, like early X Division.
Yeah.
The fact that Chris Candido doesn't get more of love and respect than he does is a sad. Because that's the thing, like all people know of Chris Candido. If you're a WWF fan, is you know him as the part of the Body Donnas. You don't
Right.
know
Right.
that this man could actually. There was a reason why he was no gimmicks needed.
hmm
I think, again, a lot of the Japanese guys who were able to, I mean, but like Samoa Joe, AJ Styles,
Hey, you know,
Christopher Daniels, those guys that were able to, Jay Lethal
hmm
is
yeah,
another.
he's never worked for WWE. Not once. He's never even been in developmental that I know of. Everything he's ever done has been outside of WWE, and he's definitely created a name and a brand for himself. Another one that I have to say, God damn it, whether I like to say it or not, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has created, for whether you like him or don't, you have to give him credit. He's created a mystique. He's created, he created what he is. And I had Kenny down, and then I also had the Briscoes.
The Briscoes. The fact that they never got the chance, like, and that's the thing is they are the unsung heroes of that bygone era. That when we were watching, it was kind of gotten. I'm sorry for bringing up Public Enemy and the Briscoes in the same breath, but like it was that same. It was that
Yeah.
same category of like those teams and stuff that was like they were always on the outside. You never really knew they were wild cards.
Mm-hmm.
Raven.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Scott Levy is one of the most brilliant minds. Sometimes he's too brilliant for his own good. But I mean, a lot of that early TNA was him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Him and Jeff Jarrett. Yeah.
Yep. It. And that's the problem is that, again, these guys, again, do not get the singing praises that they should because we are, unfortunately, the problem today is that everybody is a superstar in
Mm-hmm.
WWE. There is no enhancement talent. There is no jobbers. There's no whatever you want to call it. But the
Right.
fact is, I'm sorry, so at some point, to get someone to be that, the Undertaker was mysterious because he fucking beat 20 people in a row.
Right. Yeah.
John Cena is John Cena because he, whether people like to admit it, he buried a lot of talent to get to where he's at. Hulk Hogan beat again, there's a formula to doing it. But when everybody has to be the shining star, it's just kind of like with the whole Goldberg thing. There's no reason that needed to be 14 fucking minutes.
Right.
Goldberg should have been like, dude, I am fucking 60. What's best for this business? It's the same thing with Terry Funk. Well, Terry Funk can actually wrestle, but it should have just been the passing of the torch. But
Mm-hmm.
again, nobody today really wants to pass that torch.
Right. So I think we I got out of that question what I wanted to get out of it. I was like, I hope it's going to make sense when I
It
ask it.
absolutely does.
Um,
Like I said, a lot of you look at all the promotions that, like with AAA and everything else, that's the big thing about it is that when WCW died, people feel like, well, it was just WWF that was the sole survivor. No, the indies exploded in such a way that we had like Ring of Honor, you had AAA, you had everything over in New Japan, you had all of these indie promotions, you even had stuff over in PWG.
mm-hmm.
There was a renaissance that was a groundswelling of fans that were diehard wrestling fans who wanted to see an alternative, and then so they
Right.
found their favorites. And a lot of those guys that were the unsung heroes that kept that spirit of pro wrestling alive during that time don't get their credit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So what's your next question for me, Senor?
This is kind of a personal one. What is the one thing, maybe we've talked about it before, but what is your earliest memory? What is the thing that you remember that got you in there? What was it that was like, oh shit, I'm hooked to pro wrestling?
I actually talked to the man himself about this. I tell the story to people in 2005, 2000, whenever it was that Hulk Hogan brought out that stupid game for the Kinect with the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
He was at the GameStop store managers conference. So I actually got to get my picture taken with, and get Hulk Hogan's autograph for free. I didn't have to pay for it because at those conventions, they were trying to sell us on their products. So any of the celebrities that were there, if we do a meet and greet, it is all taken care of. That's how I met Rey Mysterio. That's how I met Shelton Benjamin. But anyway, I met Hulk Hogan at that thing. And I told him the story. My first memory of wrestling is actually when Vince Jr. brought him back in right before he beat the Iron Sheik. I remember as a kid, I think it was at that point, it was still WWF All-Star Wrestling, but it was on like our Fox channel in Toledo. And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for people who don't understand. Like that is very old school. That you for people who don't understand. Like I'm sorry for going off on this
Oh
tangent,
no,
but
that's
like
fine.
it wasn't like today where you could like you had to get lucky to be able to catch these programs.
Yeah, yeah. And it was when I realized as a kid, it was the first memory I remember realizing that wrestling, if I like this wrestling stuff, it's on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. So then my routine became I watched my cartoons and then I watched wrestling at 11 o'clock because it was all-star wrestling. Then it became the superstars of wrestling. But anyway, and then Challenge was on Sunday morning at 10. And yeah, but crazy. I can't remember some things from last week, but I can tell you that Superstars was on Fox 36 at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, and Challenge was on Fox 55 from Detroit Sunday at 10. I can tell you that. But my first memory is literally it's Hulk Hogan and Bob Backlund versus the Samoans on All Star Wrestling. It was when they and now I didn't realize it as a kid, but then I have one of those Hulk Hogan DVDs they put out in the mid 2000s, and it's got it on there, and
Really?
it is literally it's like Backlund has lost the title, so this would be what 83 into 84. Backlund has lost the title to the Sheik, but Hogan hasn't beat the Iron Sheik yet, so it's right in between. It's in that month, and that is the first thing I remember seeing on wrestling on TV, and I remember it capturing my imagination. And I told Hulk Hogan that, and he said, "I don't even remember that, brother." Those were his words. I don't even remember that, brother.
Oh,
but that's my first. What's my first? What clicks in my head is my first memory as a kid. How about you?
for me, I wasn't an Ultimate Warrior fan. Like that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the guy that I like. I liked Macho Man. I liked Roddy Piper. I liked the more bad guy. I loved that heel aspect of it
Yeah.
because I was like, again, you can't have a good guy without having a bad guy. It's just what.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I remember like growing up. For me, my grandmother watched pro wrestling. Like we didn't watch football. We watched wrestling. We would go over there and we would watch the Royal Rumble. We would watch Survivor Series, and hers guy
Mm-hmm.
was Ultimate Warrior. I have very vivid memories of her disdain for Rick Rude. She and I'm telling you guys, like again, growing up, you don't know the secret.
Right. Right.
She you could have told her the secret time and time again. No, it's real to her.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where she bought it hook, line, and sinker. She would, I swear, at the referees, like the way people would yell at,
She was the wrestling granny.
dude, she was. I swear to God, she was, man. That was my memories, and I was just like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I, they tell me I used to, I don't have much memories of it, but I used to hate Brother Love.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, oh, you used to get your face would get so red when he would come out. But yeah, that was it. Like my grandmother, like she grew up and her guy was Ultimate Warrior, and she bought into it fully. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
she passed in '96 before but like that was, and that's what my love for it came because it was like this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like this, like what?
Well, that's one of the things where we're talking about the modern product now. That the wrestling granny and stuff is just that kind of a thing and that kind of an atmosphere in wrestling that's gone now. It's that's like indie wrestling. That's why I like to go to indie wrestling because indie wrestling is still, even though indie wrestling goes the way of the modern product, you still have they'll try out some of the gimmicks that are styles that are going on. They do have a lot more flippy stuff now on an indie wrestling card, but at its basics, an indie wrestling card is fun because it's very much old school. Like Kendall and I were actually driving over to Lima today, and I hook Spotify up when I drive. I don't even listen to the radio anymore. But I just happen to have the radio on. I didn't connect my phone or whatever. And Def Leppard Pour Some Sugar on Me came on. And I told her I said somewhere right now out there's an indie wrestling show going on. And in that indie wrestling show, there is a guy with like a fedora hat and a pink boa and little skimpy tights, and he's a pretty boy, and he's got a tan, and he's talking to all the girls like he's so sexy, and he's coming out to this song. That song is one of the standards of indie wrestling. No matter how many times how far the years go by, you always have someone come out to pour some sugar on me, and someone always comes out to fucking Crazy Train.
Right.
Always.
Well, it's fun because again, that's the thing is that kids expect to when they go see indie wrestling, they're expecting John Cena. They're expecting Randy Orton. They're expecting, and then it's like, okay, well, I've got the fucking, I don't even know what, but the point is that I understand why they do more of the flippy stuff and everything because it's about
the kids want to see to a certain level. They want to see in that indie show. Maybe they're not seeing Ricochet, but they want to see a guy that's like Ricochet, or something. Like I remember taking my kids to the indie shows back in the mid 2000s, and like you said, there was always like an Eddie Guerrero type character, a JBL type character. Yep. They weren't getting to boo JBL, but they were getting to boo a guy that was like JBL. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the fun part of pro wrestling is I get what you guys see on TV. It is fun, but I'm telling you, go watch it live.
Yeah.
That's where it's a lot more, and especially indies and like good indies, because I want the heel to come out here and talk shit. And then, like that's the point of what it's supposed to be. Like that, again, we can talk about 5-star classics till we're blue in the face, but the truth is, the secret was because they didn't want to hurt each other. It's unfortunate when you see stuff like Seth Rollins and stuff. Again, if it's really real,
right.
Again, that's the other thing about pro wrestling is watching it for so many years, you kind of start to question everything.
Mm-hmm.
When pro wrestlers tell you themselves everything is a work, brother.
So it's funny because we just talked about the indie crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question actually pertains to crowds. And the question is, and I'm having you just pick between these two. Just because these are the two, because I was watching one the other night and it made me think of the other.
Fair enough.
So of these two, and this won't take long to answer, but what is the best? So the other night I was watching One Night Stand 06. Rob Van Dam and John Cena. If Cena wins, we riot.
Right.
That whole thing. So who takes the cake? Is it the crowd at One Night Stand 06 in the Hammerstein Ballroom? Or is it the crowd in Chicago at Money in the Bank 2011 with CM Punk? Cena's in both matches, but which crowd takes the cake? Like, it's hard for me to pick because the one is more visceral, but the other one is just so much more intense,
This is going to seem like it may be a cheap answer, but the Hammerstein ball or that ballroom compared to the arena didn't have the amount of. That's the thing about it is it wasn't even that people hated Cena in Chicago there. They just loved Punk.
Yeah.
But there's more people, so it's like it's bigger. But then in the Hammerstein Ballroom in 06, it's more people. People are flipping them off. I honestly think it would have been that. I have to go with 06 because those people would have fucking killed John Cena.
That's the one I picked too. I wrote down that the Money in the Bank one is, like you said, it's impressive because of the size of the crowd. Very rarely is a crowd so loud that it shakes the camera. I mean, it was so intense and they were so into the match and they were so into the finish and Punk blowing the kiss to Vince and everything. It was such, like I said about Vince creating moments. That is a moment that everybody will remember forever. But I agree. One night stand, because like those people were and on that night in that ring, it was real to them. Damn it! Like
There's very few moments where we've had that. And for because again, like I said, we all know what it is, but
mm-hmm.
when you can suspend your disbelief, you start to believe in the magic of it. Again, I know it's silly, but like those people that night truly would have fucking probably killed John Cena if, and I almost wish they would have done it. Just to have fucking John Cena. Imagine him standing there in the middle of the ring and then just do the "you can't see me" to
Yeah.
everybody. Have the lights go out and him fucking gone.
Yeah, that would have had to be probably happened. Yes. But yeah, I mean, ultimately they made the right decision. You know, it was the perfect time. It was the perfect storm, because they were just starting up what, obviously we all know what it wound up being. But at that time, they were just restarting up ECW as a brand. And Van Dam had the money in the bank. And you got Cena is Cena in 06. He has not gained, any, what I mean? He hasn't got, he's the, at that point, he was the Cena everybody loved to hate, even though he was supposed to be the babyface. So you just had this perfect storm for launching the new ECW brand with the Rob Van Dam deal. Which I don't know. I think back now about that brand and how I ever in my brain thought that Vince was actually going to do ECW the way, because to be honest, and we do Reliving the Extreme, so I'm watching ECW week to week through the entire history of the promotion. So what I have to say about Vince's ECW is, no matter what you think or I think or anybody thinks should have happened, he was a multi-billion-dollar corporation was never going to recreate ECW.
See, and that's the thing. People don't like. Vince had the foresight to look and be like, I need a third brand where I can train, what NXT is now, and that's why he's morphed into it. But
Right.
I think the problem was that Vince came out and he was like, oh, he thought that he could get people behind it if they loved ECW, that they would love this. And he should have just came out and been like, look, we're going to have some of your ECW favorites on here, but like at the same time,
it's almost like they shouldn't have called it ECW. If they wouldn't have called it ECW, it might have actually been a sustainable product, Like, I don't care what anybody says. People can hate on me all they want. I found Do-Rag Vince.
Oh, entertaining?
As the ECW champion and blah, blah, blah. Do-Rag Vince was fucking entertaining. I don't care what anybody says.
That man do whatever he needs to do to try to get something over. I'll put it. I'll give it to him on that. But he you had a certain individual there that just kept on talking about ECW, sir, ECW. If we would just bring back if we would. And again, you had like Rob and stuff too. I'm sure it's like, yes, the DVD sold well and the one time thing was cool. That was, but then again, you start doing it every fucking year. It's not.
Yeah.
I love early ECW. I love all of ECW. I love how it was counter culture to what was at the time, because especially in those early years, I mean, that was the thing about ECW. Anybody who says that, like, unless you grew up around Philadelphia, you really didn't get a chance to see a lot of it.
Right.
The very
Well, no, I didn't. I've talked about it on the show before. Anything until the summer of '96 in ECW, I have always watched retroactively. I didn't see ECW at all until the summer of '96, and it was because my dad because at home at mom's house we had cable.
Yep.
My dad had satellite, and his satellite got the Sunshine Network from Florida, and they actually aired ECW. So one night, fucking midnight, I don't know, whatever. We're at my dad's house, one of his weekends or whatever, and I'm flipping the channels, and here's EC. I see Shane Douglas or whatever. I'd heard about it. Obviously, I read about it in the magazines or whatever. But yeah, no, yeah, I never saw ECW in real time until the summer of '96.
It was like stumbling upon like a treasure trove, wasn't it? You're just like, oh my god, like what was
What
such a
is
great,
going on?
like oh my god, yeah, it was so cool. Oh, it was so great to I remember for me they had oh shit oh I can't remember what his name was, but they had a local territory around here that they would play. It was like 2 a.m. on Fox.
Oh, damn it! I think I know what you're talking about. Was it
Yeah,
Ohio? Was it Ohio Championship Wrestling?
something like that, but
Because
it
I
was
think.
Dick the Bruiser.
Oh no, no, okay, no. Yeah, we're going back farther because that was on Fox
Well, it was Dick the
55.
Bruiser Jr. or something like
Yes,
that.
yes, it was Dick the Bruiser Jr. and Bobo Brazil Jr.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it was Bruiser Bedlam. That's what it was.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah.
the I don't even know. I think the Bruiser guy isn't Dick the Bruiser's son, and the Bobo Brazil guy is Bobo Brazil's son. I don't know, but no, I absolutely remember. It was the worst. It
Oh, but
was it was so bad. But when you're a kid, anytime you can find wrestling on TV.
oh yeah, you're like you don't know. You're like, oh my god, this is and then you're like, but yeah, it was just that age of discovery where you're just like flipping through the channels,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure it's the thing it is now where people are flipping through clips. Who knows what clip's going to catch?
Another one, another one that I found when I was like, so it would have been 95 when it started. So 95, I was like sophomore in high school. So not a kid anymore, but just flipping through the channels, and now I have it on DVD somewhere because they released it all on DVD. Do you remember the AWF?
Yes.
That it had it was like Tito Santana was the champion. Sergeant Slaughter was on it. They had like the Warlord team with Jeff Gaylord.
God, yes.
Nails
I
was
haven't.
on it, but he was the convict or something. I don't know. It was, but I have it on DVD because they actually released it because it only ran like 2 years, so they released it all on DVD. The promoter Paul Alperstein, I believe the guy's name was, but
I think I got to be honest with you. I think a lot of what I know of that is from watching videos on from like Brian Zane and stuff about stuff like that. That's where
mm-hmm.
because that's the thing, especially as you get again, people don't understand that there was territories all over, and so people in Chicago got wrestling that we didn't get,
Right.
and we got wrestling that they didn't get. I mean, Ohio Valley Wrestling, where John Cena and all them, the only people that got that was Kentucky
Mm-hmm.
and like up around like the lower parts of Ohio
Yeah.
because they didn't want John Cena to be seen by everybody on a national scale until he was ready.
Yeah.
They didn't
And
want Batista
well,
to be.
and we've talked about it. We talked about it. We've already recorded it, but it won't be out till Friday. But this past episode of Reliving the Extreme is actually we're talking about Barely Legal.
Oh, no kidding.
And my big thing about Barely Legal was I don't think that people that didn't live through that time understand that everything that ECW went through to get that show on pay-per-view. It was on again, it was off again. The pay-per-view providers were going to take it and then they weren't going to take it. And I told Chad and Aaron, I'm like, people today don't understand. Like every fucking promotion now, any promotion out there can set up a GoPro and fucking do a pay-per-view on YouTube. It's like the world was so much more simple yet complicated back then.
And and don't
You know?
think for one second that Vince didn't have a hand in getting them back onto a pay-per-view. Because that's the thing. Imagine that now. I mean, it blew our minds, yes, that when WWE announced their partnership with TNA and everything else, but like it's the way it was for us back there with ECW was like all of a sudden you tune into Monday Night Raw one week.
Yeah. And Sabu's jumping off the R.
You're like, what the hell is going?
So now that we got off the highway, we'll get back on the highway. And I think you probably have one more question.
Yeah. So you have watched more pro wrestling probably than anybody I know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You and Aaron both. And I'd like to get his opinion on it. And so, like I said, if, you know, um, but in your opinion, after everything you've seen from a wee little lad to this point now, where I guess you were at a point now where you, like with Hulk Hogan, you saw him kind of and have you seen his career tail out? You've seen John Cena's career from here to as it's ending.
Right.
Let's be honest. Let's call it for what it is. That we are very close to that point. This man has been in our lives in pro wrestling from most of us from the beginning till.
Yeah, I
For,
mean he made his first appearance on WWE TV in 2002. So,
with that being said, I know it's not done yet.
mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on this heel turn, his retirement tour? How do you think it's going to play out? With everything that you've seen after all the pro wrestling and everything else, because obviously there's a rhyme and there's a reason for everything.
I think that there's a couple little stitches to this story.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
So I think that people need to give him a lot of credit because the reality of the situation is fucking Dwayne Johnson almost fucked this whole thing up because the story was what was it? The fucking final boss, the fucking sell your soul. And then that's why I know that people like to shit on the WrestleMania main event from this year with Cena and Cody. But I also think that Rock fucked that up because he was supposed to be a part of all that and then he wasn't.
Here's something I want to
So he's
real quick.
Sure.
But what? Because I haven't had a chance to bring this up yet. You can't be pissed at that main event because you got fucking Rollins, Reigns, and Punk
Right.
the night before.
And
so God forbid they tell a story.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I think that all things considered,
and I sat through Sting and Hogan, so shut up. It's Hurricane 97.
I think that all things considered, in the fact that the story was supposed to revolve around Cena and The Rock doing something together, that The Rock fucking powdered out. First of all, I think Cena needs to be given all the credit in the world for the fact that he's done a fantastic job with this. Seeing as the story changed on him, they changed the, and what I think ultimately happens, and that's why I say there's a couple of different things, and one I actually hope doesn't happen now. At the beginning of the whole thing, when Cena first turned on Cody, I was hoping that it was going to end with Cena and Rock, because Rock manipulates Cena, then something happens with them in the summertime, and then you get Cena back to being a babyface, and then Cena and Rock is the final match for Cena. I don't think that's happening now, and I'm okay with that because fuck The Rock. I'm tired of watching him come out and look at his stupid fake ass goose pimples and his fuck him. He can stay away. I got no time for Dwayne Johnson in wrestling anymore. Go away. Be Mr. TKO, make some movies, stay off my wrestling. But anyway, I think Cena's going to lose to Cody at SummerSlam. And then there I don't know how to describe it. There has to be that moment because since Cena turned on Cody, and I hope this makes sense from a wrestling booking point of view. Since Cena turned on Cody, the only way to turn Cena face again is for Cody to hook back up with Cena. There has to be a reconciliation of some kind. So there has to be some kind of a heel situation where Cody saves Cena. I don't know how you do it, but there because then you turn Cena back babyface. You have to turn him face. He has to retire as a face. He's fucking John Cena. In Boston, he has to retire as a babyface. So that I don't know exactly how you get there.
If you had more time, you would have Cody, or you would have The Rock come out and belittle John Cena, slap him in the face or whatever, have Cody or have John attack The Rock, have Travis Scott, because apparently they're butt buddies now, and that's like the thing. So okay, cool. Which again, I have nothing against it, but like, he's pissed a lot of people off slapping Cody in the face like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, again, people are just expecting more out of everything.
Yeah.
But you could have that where, and then Cody, again, if you had more time, then that's where, if you wanted to turn Cody heel, you could have him turn on John. But I'm sure it'll be something along those lines where The Rock will turn on John, and then Cody will save John, and John and Cody, oh, you're back to being good guy.
Mm-hmm. But and I think that you have to, because to me, just for me, like, and I'm by no means a wrestling booker, but if I'm fantasy booking, and the way that I view wrestling and the way that I like to watch wrestling play out is because Cody is the person that John turned heel on. Cody has to be instrumental in turning John face again.
Yep.
That's what I've always said about Dom Mysterio. When it's time,
it has to be.
When it's time, there has to be something where something so bad is happening to his dad.
Let's be honest, somebody trying to take his mask off.
Yeah, just a bloody, there has to be, somebody really has to be taking it to Rey Mysterio, and Dom has to come out and save his. That is going to be a huge baby. That is going to be, I wouldn't have said it 6 years ago. I really wouldn't have, but I am actually salivating at seeing that play out now, to see Dom finally, as good as he's been as a heel.
It'll happen right before the Royal Rumble, because leading up to it, they'll show pictures of him as a little kid in the crowd, and then like he's been performing in because then you can show the Eddie ladder match with Ray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I really do. I think, but but that's where I'm at on that. But that was, I don't know that. Like I said, I don't know how. I know how I would like to get there, but you have seen, to me, Cena has to retire as a face. Like I said, and it has to. They're good. They're doing that show in Boston. Apparently, is it in December? It's in December, right?
So yeah,
they're doing the big show in Boston. He's going to have his retirement match. I think also. Okay, so I'll ask you. This makes me ask you a question. Do you think it's better to have Cena in his retirement match as a face against another face, take the fall and pass the torch, or face a heel and beat the heel and go out the conquering babyface? It's like Terry Funk with Bret Hart, when Terry Funk had his retirement match in which, it was into his retirement match in that town. It was Terry Funk, but on Beyond the Mat, where he has the quote unquote retirement match with Bret, he's like, I should go out on my back. You're the new guy. You're the champion. You should beat me. And then I get to have a little celebration or whatever. But so what do you think? You think Cena loses to a babyface and passes the torch, or do you think Cena beats a heel?
So here's the thing. Like, I would think logically, if you have Cena beat a heel, then that heel needs to get his heat back on Cena, because then Cena forever they can be like, well, he never got back on Cena.
Mm-hmm.
With the babyface passing the torch, and now the crowd will probably play it one way or the other. Same thing with Hogan and Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, to me, is one of the perfect examples of how to do a passing the torch.
Yeah, I think Cena should lose his last match. I think he should lose. I think
he needs to be humbled, where he's like, shake the hand of Cody, raise his hand, be like, this is the next guy, it's yours. Then Cody can be like, oh, I'm going to give you the ring, and then have final bow.
I know it's a different situation, and he didn't retire after it. But imagine, and I know it's funny because we discussed it at the time. Kyle was in my living room when we watched it, and we discussed it at the time. But even though he was already a badass, and even though he already had a mystique, just remember what beating the Undertaker at WrestleMania did for Brock Lesnar's mystique. It made him go from being a legend to one of the legends.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar.
You
can do that for somebody. You can do that for somebody in the Cena match.
Absolutely. Oh, I kid you not, there was a 20-second, but there was no talking. And
if you listen to this show, if you listen to this show, ladies and gentlemen, you know how hard it is to get Aaron to shut the fuck up.
I'm glad you said. I didn't want to say, Aaron, I love you. I didn't mean to. Didn't want to say it.
I'd say it to his face.
I love your fucking your rants, brother. I do. But yeah. So just for all of us to be speechless, that's something to be said, and that's one of those moments you don't get a lot of those.
No. I mean, and that was a, for WWE history, that was like a turning of the page night. But yeah, to answer your question, we took a long way to get there, but I really do. I think that he needs to turn face again. Cody has to be instrumental in that. And either way you go, Cena, I would like to see him pass the torch to a babyface, honestly. Yeah. But if it has to be a heel, if you have to, I mean, now then you decide, okay, now you got to go up and down the roster, and who's worthy of that? Is it Braun Breaker? Is it because I don't think Gunther, because I think Gunther's already where you want him to be.
Yeah. You don't want to get him too much, because then people will they'll reject him, kind of like Roman.
Mm-hmm.
I think this Braun is pretty good, because I mean, and it would be a great story, because you just have Braun hit that spear.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking John be like, fuck.
Kid fucked me up, man.
Like, I love that. Like, at first I was kind of questioning what's that fucking YouTuber guy's name that was in the Rumble?
Oh, damn it.
You kids know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I was like, what? I was like, okay, whatever. And then I saw that spot and I said, oh, I love that. That's perfect. Please get that over. Like, that needs to be the most dominating thing that anybody's ever been hit with. That,
All right, so my last question, and then we will wrap this bad boy up. Excuse me. This one's non-wrestling.
Okay.
But we are going to, once again, as we have a few times in this show, go back to our childhood.
Okay.
It's Child Kyle, and he is anticipating watching one or two. You can do one or two, because sometimes we have two favorites. He is anticipating watching his one or two favorite cartoons.
Oh shit. Okay. It's either going to be Ninja Turtles or...
What was your jam sandwich back in the day?
Oh, dude, it was fucking Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all day long. And then it was a block of any of the Marvel, like X-Men, Spider-Man, any of that shit that was on. I had to watch that. Batman.
Remind me again, just because I don't. I guess since we've all been so friends for so long, I don't even know. You're Aaron's age, right? How old are you?
I am 38.
Oh, you're younger than Aaron. So you're actually about 8 years behind me. Because when you said the Marvel series and you said the Batman animated series, I was like, man, I love those cartoons, but those weren't like kid cartoons for me. Those were, I'm a nerd and I'm watching cartoons in my teens for me.
Well, and that was the thing about Batman the animated series. Like, that shit was on prime time.
Yeah.
Like, that was what was so cool about it. It was like, oh my God. Because I always loved comics and stuff. So, like, that was my thing. Anytime I could get, like, any of that, like, that was the shit that I was into. I didn't watch sports or NFL or any
Right.
NASCAR. Like I was reading comic books and I was watching for like that. Yeah, but for me, like I said, that was the big thing. Batman the animated series, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. Oh, Batman the
This,
Animated Series is not just, honestly, it's not just one of my favorite cartoons. It's one of my favorite TV series of all time.
it's so good.
Yeah.
So good. To me, Batman. It, that's the thing. Anytime I read a comic that's Batman, I hear it in Kevin Conroy's voice. Because for me, that is like that's who I grew
Mm-hmm.
up with. Like kids were like, "Oh, Adam West," and and yeah, I saw the Tim Burton, um, like the first Batman, but
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people like in the '90s, my parents were like, "I don't know, Batman Returns is kind of a little too much maybe for you." Like
And I want to tell you, I'll tell you, as Bruno would say, I'll tell you. And again, I watched it as a teen, but the funny thing is, as a kid, not a teen with Batman the Animated Series, because the Batman movie, which my dad took me to see in 1989, and there's like one of the most seminal moments of my life. But
I hang on real quick. I'm sorry. I don't mean to
mm-hmm.
cut you off. One of my favorite stories is Kevin Smith talking about his experience with Batman in that summer. Yeah, fuck. We got to take a minute here, if you don't mind. What was it like for you? Yeah, please
it
share that.
was, it was, it was, it was. Here's where it was earth shattering for me. I was 9 years old.
Mm.
I had read Batman comics whenever, because my parents didn't really buy me comics, but when I would come visit my grandma would always take me to the bookstore and let me buy wrestling magazines and comics. So I would get my wrestling magazines, I would get my comics, and my comics were always Batman. But this is where I was saying the Batman animated series didn't come out, I believe, till like 92. So what I had for Batman before I went to see that fucking movie was what you just talked about. I had the 1960s Adam West Batman series, which I have the complete DVD set here because I love it. It's camp, it's wonderful. But that was my Batman. And then I went and saw that movie and it shook me in my britches. Like, this is fucking cool, Batman.
What was it like seeing the first preview for like the movie preview?
Oh, the movie preview, you're just like, as a 9-year-old, you're like, what is this? And and then it's like, I remember the Cesar Romero Joker, the campy Joker from the 60s series. And then you see on the preview for the Batman movie, it's Jack Nicholson, and Joker looks like a gangster. He doesn't look like a clown. He looks like a gangster that looks like a clown. You know what I mean? It was just so, I can't even describe it how it sounds stupid when you say it, but it's not. Like, it was like that Batman movie was life-changing for me as a nerd. As a little 9-year-old nerd, it like fucking rocked my world, man.
Yeah, that. But yeah, that. How about you? What was some of your?
So, and you will. It's funny because you'll know exactly. At one point, you'll go, yeah, that's Nate. But as a kid, one of my favorite cartoons was to watch 1950s and 60s Looney Tunes.
Okay, yep.
To this day, I am so glad they have the whole Looney Tunes cat. Well, actually, it's funny. They have Looney Tunes on HBO Max, but there are definitely episodes missing, and you can tell that the episodes are missing because they were super racist. But anyway,
Yep.
But yeah,
yep.
I loved watching Looney Tunes. And funny story, everything goes back to fucking wrestling in my life. On Saturday nights, obviously, World Championship Wrestling came on at 6:05.
Yep.
Guess what was on for 2 hours, a 2-hour block on TBS before World Championship Wrestling on Saturdays? Fucking Looney Tunes. So on Saturdays, I would watch Looney Tunes and then I would watch wrestling. Everything connects to fucking wrestling. But I loved Looney Tunes. And then the one that wasn't like a comedic thing, my favorite cartoon as a kid was G.I. Joe. Like, to this day, I have them. I will watch them sometimes. I have them on DVD. They're super cheesy now. It's fine. But to this day, if I was ever going to if I was a pro wrestler and I had entrance music, it would be the instrumental of the theme to the G.I. Joe movie. Cobra!
And who else was in a G.I. Joe but Sergeant Slaughter?
Sergeant Slaughter. Everything comes back to fucking wrestling.
Look at that.
And then I was a fan of Masters of the Universe.
Okay, He-Man.
But then it's funny because G.I. Joe I can watch. It's kind of cheesy, but it still kind of holds up as an actionable cartoon to watch. Watching the Masters of the Universe cartoons now, they're fucking terrible. They're fucking the 80s shows, they're fucking terrible. And that was a bad movie-going experience for me as a kid. Because in 89, I got my mind blown by Batman. But in 1987, even at like, what would that make me? 7 years old? Wait, I was born in 78. Anyway, whatever. However old I was in fucking 87, I was mad at that He-Man movie. That Masters of the Universe movie is garbage.
See, I had my mind-blowing experience with Ninja Turtles. See, because that was my cartoon growing up. Was like I had all the Ninja Turtle like that. Was before wrestling. It was like Ninja Turtles. But I remember the I remember it coming out like the seeing the previews being like seeing the on the movie theater wall like coming in this what it was like holy shit like what
and
like
that first one was so good.
Oh well, and that's the thing like as you get older when I went back and looked like it pretty much follows the comic to a T that first movie and it's like damn it pretty nice of them to be faithful to at that point like again now we're getting comic book movies that are good but we have had
there's been some fucking stinkers
dude some real bad ones.
Some of the I'm actually very 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 excited for Fantastic Four because on TV and in the movies there's never been anything that made me happy Fantastic Four.
Fair enough.
For some reason, for like comic characters, like I have never been impressed by any cartoon, any movie, anything. Like, and this Fantastic Four looks like it's going to be good, really good.
Can I ask you? Did you like The Incredibles?
Yeah.
See, I not just me. There's a lot of people who maintain the same thing, but they say Incredibles is like the perfect Fantastic Four movie,
and that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Like that's how you would want it to be. I mean, kind of what they were. I hope. I've yet to see Superman. I'm hoping.
I've heard nothing but good about it.
I have too. I love Creature Commandos. I don't know if you've watched that yet.
Oh yeah, man, that's a great series. That's a great series. I actually, to be honest with you, I really like the Harley Quinn series too. The animated.
I'm addicted to that. It's one of the. Oh, it's so good.
But yeah, Creature Commandos. It's funny because Creature Commandos was actually one that was like under the radar for me.
Really? Yeah, I was the same way. Adam was like, "Have you watched it?" I was like, "I'm getting around to it." He's like, "No, you should kind of watch. It's really good." And
then I fucking power watched it in a weekend. Yeah, like all right. Give me another season, goddamn it.
No spoilers, but he has a way to write such compelling and interesting characters that you truly care about. And he is making you feel things that you're just like, okay. Okay. One of my favorite, it's not giving too much away, but you'll know that whole sequence of Dr. Phosphorus.
Yeah.
It just that subtle little hint, and you're just like, oh, okay.
God damn it.
Okay. So, yep. And Peacemaker, like I said, again, that's the thing about it. I'm going to say it. I don't care if The Rock doesn't like it. John Cena can actually act.
Oh, he is a much more ranged actor.
Oh,
for sure.
It is so funny to watch the evolution from Hulk Hogan to The Rock. to John Cena to becoming like these, like the perfect, what Vince McMahon was like, the wrestler, movie star,
Mm-hmm.
man.
And
You know,
actually, the other funny thing is the to me the biggest surprise out of the whole lot, that made me so happy was I wound up being so happy what a great comedic actor Batista is.
I know.
Like Batista is such a. And I'm. What was that? He did that one. He did that other movie on Peacock that was like the one about like the end of the world thing. I forget what it was called. Someone knocking or something like that. But he was good in that in a serious role. But man, I love him in a fucking comedy role. He is so good at that.
And I think his fear is that there's so many guys out there doing that, but really there's not,
No,
because the
there's not
Rock's
anybody. They're not doing it good.
no, yeah, the Rock is still got to be cool. He's got to be the cool,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, but and then again, like I said, yeah, as you said, range on John Cena is beyond anything. It's just amazing that, and it's funny because again, not that you start to realize that his career is winding down. So I've watched a lot of stuff where you realize this motherfucker has been training for this shit for the last
Oh yeah.
15, like just trying out stuff that even when we're like, what the hell is that about? He's just trying to see things, if things worked or
Yeah.
not. Fucking brilliant. It's brilliant.
And that's why Hunter stays to wrestling, because if anybody's ever seen any acting that Hunter's done in movies, he's fucking terrible. But he's great at wrestling. So
Come on. He's okay in Blade Trinity. He's
what was that? What was that god awful movie he did with the kids? Like where he was like the I don't know. Like there was the movie where
I,
he with the kids. You know what I'm talking? I don't know.
I know
I'm
exactly,
over.
because Punk makes fun of it because it's like, oh, it went straight to DVD. But yeah, it was like, I don't know whoever thought that would be the perfect idea for that man to fucking be an actor. Like, oh, again, I'm
Well,
sure he saw it. But
that's going to be a wrap. I'm glad we got to do an episode here for Kyle to join me here on the show. I don't think you've been on the show since the Hall of Shame, and you're more than welcome to join us for any of the Clash of the Champions that you want to.
I would absolutely.
Um,
Try to go on a little bit more. Just like I said, things kind of worked around with just my schedule, so try to be on more and stuff. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Mr. Archie Mitchell.
yes.
Our thoughts are with you, my friend.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And I know anybody that's doesn't know, Archie recently lost his son, which as a father I can't, and the conversations that I had with him, I was like, essentially I said, Archie, I don't know what to say to you other than as a father, I literally can't imagine what you're going through. I can't even, fathom it. It's one of those things where you're like, you want to be there, but you don't even know what to say. So,
Just
yeah,
know it,
absolutely.
friend.
Like Kyle said,
With you.
lift Archie up in your
Yep.
thoughts, and him and his wife, and I'm sure it's something that they're just, I don't know. I can't, like I said, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
No.
But other than that,
Too good of a man for any of that. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, like I said, lift Archie and his family, his wife Sarah, up in your thoughts, as we have been doing here behind the scenes. Yeah, a lot of times we don't bring stuff like this up, but it's an Archie, and if Archie had not made it public, we would not be
not brand. Yeah, exactly.
right.
Like I said, but
Yes, and he is.
man.
I understand they have had their final services and everything now. So, and him and Sarah are going to be heading back home to Jersey. So, for those of you asking, when's Archie going to be on? Don't know. We're obviously going to give him his time.
Yeah,
And also, excuse me, I don't mean to go from that to this, but the WNR podcast YouTube page is growing. So I thank everybody for doing that. We're getting comments on the shows and stuff. I have found that it's been awesome because the server that I use now that I didn't use before, when it used to be, if I wanted to do a YouTube episode, honestly, folks, if I wanted to do a YouTube episode, I had to publish the audio podcast, and then I had to go back into a video editing software and do the YouTube episode myself as another chore. And I was not consistent with it. I just wasn't. There would be like this episode here, this episode there, and I understand that makes your page not grow, because to grow a YouTube page, you have to consistently have content. I think the reason we're growing now, and thank you to our provider Red Circle, that is our server, when I publish a audio episode of this show, it immediately also publishes to our YouTube page. So that has made my life so much easier, and it is making our YouTube page grow. And what I love about YouTube is I can say all day, hey, email me at wecan'twrestle@gmail.com, but that's just one more thing you have to do to be able to give us your feedback or comments, and it's not instantaneous. We're getting comments on the YouTube videos, and I love that because people can comment as they listen. It's not something you have to go to another app or whatever to go and do, so I appreciate that. And our most loyal listener out there on YouTube, Rigamus11. We don't know who you are. Aaron thinks you're me. It's not me. Aaron thinks Rigamus is either me, just commenting on my own shit like I have time to do that, or he also thinks he might be an Eastern European man. Like in Czechoslovakia or something. But
I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. You ready for this? Come here. It's going to be kind of what happened with the greater power. It's going to be Aaron. He's going to take the head off.
Yeah, it was me, Austin. It was me. It was me, Maxon. It was me.
I see it. Okay. That or it's Hornswoggle, one of the two.
Yeah. Or, yeah. The anonymous general manager. All right, we're going to sign off here. Kyle, thank you for joining me this week. It was nice to have you, brother.
Yes.
And we will come back again next week, back into the Clash of the Champions, Clash 16. And Clash 16, Ric Flair has departed WCW with the Real World Championship, so he's off to the WWF now. Jim Herd, all them changes in WCW in 91. It's 91's kind of a wild year in WCW. So
what a time! Oh Jesus!
We'll see you next week for that. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for listening to the We Can't Wrestle podcast.